Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Leon's Den. No more lines. And I'm your host, Sam De La Torres. And today I will be giving you guys my WrestleMania 37 predictions. And honestly, this pay per view is very mixed for me because while it is WrestleMania, while it is the show of the Immortals, some of these matches, in my opinion, aren't that exciting. Now, I'm not saying the wrestlers aren't exciting because they are, but their feud and their build up for me has a lot left to be desired. But we'll go ahead and start off my predictions with non title matches. And first off, we got Bad Bunny going against The Miz. Now, I'm assuming the Bad Bunny, the Bad Bunny. Now, I'm assuming Bad Bunny will be accompanied by his friend Damian Priest, and John Morrison will accompany The Miz. And this one was kind of an interesting one because at first I thought this feud was dropped because The Miz won the title, and I was like, okay, surely Bad Bunny will not win the title, nor will Damian Priest. Not that I don't think Damian Priest is W material, but there just wasn't a proper build for it, and I would be kind of upset by it. Anyways, yeah. So of course, he lost it to Bobby Lashley, and now they're all back together again. It's like the status quo, I guess. And honestly, this match, I will give it to Bad Bunny because Bad Bunny has been giving it his all lately, I believe, because they say that he's been at the Performance Center daily, and it seems like he's a genuine fan of it. Because I think other celebrities would have just showed up and, flopped around the ring, but he really seems like he likes what he's doing. So I believe Bad Bunny will give it his all, and he will secure the win somehow. I believe Damian Priest may be involved, but regardless, he will win. Then next we have Cesaro going against Seth Rollins. Finally, Cesaro has his own singles match at WrestleMania. Poor Fiend, I should say. Now, this feud started back when Seth Rollins returned as still the Messiah, but kind of changed it up a bit. He looked a little bit fresher. And so he was giving his speech, but it turned out it was the same Seth Rollins as before. While everybody did leave him in the ring by himself, Cesaro stayed behind, and it looked like he contemplated joining perhaps Seth Rollins and his vision. However, Cesaro would only look at him and say, "You haven't changed one bit." And that really pissed off Seth Rollins. I mean, he went on full, attack mode on him. And because of that, Seth Rollins would make it his goal to embarrass Cesaro for embarrassing him that day. But Cesaro would one-up him and swing him 21 times, which only angered Seth Rollins even more. Now, you would think Cesaro would have the momentum swing on his side, but in my opinion, I think Seth Rollins will win this match because last year he did lose against Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins claimed that WrestleMania was never an off day for him. So I believe he will not tolerate another loss at WrestleMania, and a loss to Cesaro too, because he's talking about he doesn't want to be embarrassed anymore. There's nothing more embarrassing than losing to Cesaro at WrestleMania. At least in his eyes. I'm not saying Cesaro's a bad guy or anything. He's amazing talent. Everybody loves him. I love him. I want him to win, but I believe Seth Rollins will get the victory. Then we have Shane McMahon going against Braun Strowman in the steel cage match. Now, surprisingly, this is the only match so far that has been given a stipulation. And while I wouldn't say it isn't deserving of it because Riker and Elias has gone involved, I don't think it is truly worthy of it. Because this match is not interesting to me. For me, this match is a match that I'll go brush my teeth. Because the action of brushing my teeth with braces is much more fun. And that's not me knocking on Shane McMahon. I love his matches. I think his last greatest match was against The Miz at WrestleMania 35. That was a really fun match. They were going all around the arena. I liked it, especially the finish. But Braun Strowman, I just don't buy into him. I'm not intimidated by him, and while he is partly to blame, the fact that they play train noise when he runs around the ring, like, to me, that's just flat out embarrassing. It's like, is this a cartoon or is this a sport? I can't tell. But yeah, it's just I just I just don't care for this match. Simply put. So let me end it. And while I don't care too much for Braun Strowman, I just think he's gonna win. I mean, sure, Riker and Elias may get involved, but Braun Strowman will power up, he'll roar, and he'll give him his fist for the win. Next up, we have another favorite match by some, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. They're finally at the WrestleMania. Singles match, that is. And for me, I'm not too big on this match. Now, this isn't a skip match for me. I would still watch it, of course. I love Kevin Owens and his work, as well as Sami Zayn's. Especially since recently, with his whole conspiracy idea that he has, that people have against him. Which I don't think he has any conspiracy about him. I just think he's a sore loser. But hey, to each their own. And with this match, I think Kevin Owens will not get the win. I mean, sure, Kevin Owens was the one who truly started this, in my opinion. Because if you recall, Sami Zayn was upset because Kevin Owens claimed he did not see a conspiracy against him, and Sami Zayn booted him into the next century. And so Sami Zayn wasn't even looking for a fight the next week. But Kevin Owens was like, no, you have to fight me. I got to get my revenge. And so he got his match. But I don't think this match is very crucial to Kevin Owens. I mean, sure, Kevin Owens wants to get the revenge. But I think because his mind is so clouded with it, he's going to overlook a few things. And Sami Zayn is a very, very crafty guy. I mean, we've seen it before. We've seen him defend his title at the ladder match against AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy when he used the handcuffs. And we saw the same thing with Apollo Crews when he tied him up. Well, I wouldn't say tied him up, but he got him stuck in the apron curtain. And he got the win there. And I just think it's those recent examples have showed us that Sami Zayn is very intelligent outside the ring. So while he may be kind of loony, but he is very smart. I guess smart people do tend to be loony. That makes sense. Perfect. But Sami Zayn will get the win. Maybe Logan Paul will get involved. I don't know. It could happen. It could happen. That would be kind of interesting to watch. Next, we have The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, going against Randy Orton. Now, I think this is one of the only few matches that's had an actual build-up. This happened back, of course, at TLC. This is where we saw Bray Wyatt turn into Char and look like Freddy Krueger, basically. It was pretty crazy. And I know people are going to say, ooh, that looks dumb. It looks pretty damn cool, alright? Calm down. You would have gone crazy for it if you were a kid. I'm not saying I'm a kid, but I'm just a very imaginative person. How about that? And so I think The Fiend will finally get his revenge. I really think so because, I mean, if anything, I don't believe The Fiend's a bad guy. I mean, sure, he chokes you. Sure, he Sister Abigail's you into sleep, but it's for a good reason. I mean, he was embarrassed back in the day, taking opportunity away from him because he wasn't the right person. It makes sense, his anger. I understand it. And Randy Orton, man, you've had it too good for too long, in my opinion. So I believe The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, will win. But on a side note, though, I wish this match had a crazy stipulation. And I do understand it's a live crowd, so it's kind of hard to work craziness into a live crowd. But I think something like a Bear to Life match would be pretty intense. Because Alexa Bliss has been mocking Randy Orton, who wants to put this thing to an end. And how else can you put something to an end but by burying them? So I think by having a Bear to Life match will truly solidify the end of this feud. I could say another Inferno match, but I don't know how to go about it. I don't think Randy Orton wants to die, so I don't think he'll go for being burned alive. I think he'd rather claw his way back up from from the grave. I think that's a better option for him. But there we go. Those are the non-title matches. So let's go ahead and move on into the title matches that we have. So first off, we have the Raw Tag Team Championships, where we have the New Day defending it against AJ Styles and Omos. So if you recall, Omos goes all the way back to the Ninja Squad, back in the Performance Center era. I think he was even part of a member of Retribution when they first debuted, I believe. I don't know why I didn't keep him for Retribution. He was pretty cool. I could be wrong, but I could be wrong. But anyways, now that we find out it's going to be having an actual match, it makes it pretty exciting, pretty interesting because, I mean, you want to see how this big guy moves. Now, surely he's not going to be a high flyer or anything, but you still want to see how he fights. And of course, it's AJ Styles. You can't go wrong with that. AJ Styles is probably the best wrestler at the moment in WWE. It's debatable, but I think he is. And they're going against a New Day, probably one of the best tag team of all time. You know, this is pretty much an all best of match. Maybe not almost, but maybe one day he'll get there. And so I believe that AJ Styles and Almost will get the victory. Now, whether it'll be clean or not, I don't know, but I think they will win. And it'll be interesting to see how things go from there. You know, will they be consistent? Because I don't think they'll break up because there's really no heat between them. You know, Almost isn't jealous of AJ. AJ isn't jealous of Almost. So I don't know if they'll ever break up. Maybe they'll be the 12-time tag team titles. We'll see. We'll see. Next up, we have the U.S. Championship, where Riddle will defend his title against Sheamus. Now, if you recall, Riddle was a part of Sheamus's team for Team Raw back in Survivor Series. And he kind of did annoy Sheamus back then with the whole, I forgot what was his nickname he gave him. I know Sheamus called him Dopey. I don't remember what he called Sheamus. Probably like Firebeard or something like that. Said something dumb. But this whole thing started recently when Riddle started riding this scooter around. And Sheamus was pissed off and he hit him with his own scooter in the gut. And just things just went on from that. They did have a match where Sheamus did win. So I believe that's what made him first in line for the title. But in a surprising turn of events, Riddle actually pushed Sheamus off the top rope when he was celebrating. And that kind of surprised me. Not because I've never seen Riddle do anything like that. No, I've seen him do that back in NXT. It's just for the longest, while he was on SmackDown and now Raw, he was kind of made to look this guy who just, you know, there to have fun, just keep it cool, whatnot. Sure, he'd get mad, but he just relaxed, you know what I mean? And finally seeing him get aggressive, finally like made me see, okay, awesome, this could be a good match. This could be a slugger of a match. Sheamus never fails to deliver. And Riddle has kind of started growing on me. I still don't really like him that much. I think the way he's speaking is kind of annoying, but I do understand that's who he is. He can't really control that, I think. Maybe the speech therapy. But I think Riddle, though, will retain the title. I think by just seeing a little shimmer of aggressiveness, just pushing him off the top rope, showed me and showed Sheamus that he's not messing around. You know, sure, he could have a good time, but when it comes to WrestleMania, he will not lose what's most meaningful to him. I mean, because he works hard to get that title. He was getting beaten up every week by Bobby Lashley. And he finally won it, so I don't think he'll lose it that easily. He's going to put up a good fight. Then we have the Intercontinental Championship of Big E defending against Apollo Crews, or the new Apollo Crews. And actually, guys, I predicted that. Or at least I think I predicted that, because on my last prediction video, I called him the new Apollo Crews, and I don't think WWE called him. I don't believe WWE called him the new Apollo Crews yet. So hey, you know, I think creative's stealing my ideas, maybe. Probably not. But once again, it goes with the same prediction like last time. Big E is going to win because Apollo Crews, man, you've had 5 titles. I think 5 now, or maybe this is the 5th one. But you have way too many chances, man. And you've lost each time. And your own fault, too. And back, you know, maybe 3 chances ago, I would have believed in you. But now, I'm like, okay, man. You say you're the new Apollo Crews. What are you going to do about it? Because, honestly, I wanted to see something else. Something different. But maybe you could prove me wrong and you could win. But until I see the match, I have to give Big E the win. So now we have the women's title matches. And if I could just say something real quick, well, I'll say in a moment, but it's kind of frustrating seeing how things have played out for the women. But like I said, I'll say in a moment. Let me just say my predictions first before I go a little off the main road. So first we have the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka defending her title against Rhea Ripley, the new Rhea Ripley on Raw. And this match is going to be good. Honestly, I think low-key this match could steal the show. I mean, you have Asuka, of course, one of the greatest, and you have Rhea Ripley, who put on a great performance last year against Charlotte Flair for the NXT title. I think after that, that made me a big fan of her, especially with her rivalry with Raquel Gonzalez. I think she's. I think Raquel Gonzalez is in line for the NXT title. She should win against Io Shirai, I think, personally. But anyways, back to Rhea Ripley and Asuka. While Asuka is debatably the best woman of all time, I would definitely agree to that. I just think she hasn't been on her A game lately. I mean, and once again, it's the curse of the tag team titles. because after winning it, because Becky Lynch had to leave and whatnot, I think she put on a good time. But I think after that, she just kind of fizzled out. And it wasn't until I believe it was TLC 2 when Charlotte Flair came back and had the little tag team run. To me, that was like, why? Like, why do you do that? I feel like someone you could have easily had a long rivalry with would have been with Shayna Baszler easily. I mean, do we forget that easily that Shayna Baszler was the only woman and man to ever win the I can't even speak. She was the only woman to win and eliminate every single opponent in the Elimination Chamber match. And then nothing came from that. I mean, sure, she won, which gave her the opportunity to beat Becky Lynch for the title. But after that, I would assume Shayna Baszler would be first in line, and she would just make Asuka's life a living hell. I mean, I could see her as like the female version of Randy Orton in a way, just by how always egregiously annoying they are. Maybe, probably not the right word, but yeah. But no, they was just Shayna was just stuck in the whole tag team with Nia Jax, and for a moment I thought they were gonna break up. Recently, I was like, okay, perfect, this is gonna be great, but no, they just added Reginald, and now they're stronger than ever. I'm like, oh, great, perfect. And so that leads me to believe that Rhea Ripley will win because she was hot back in NXT, and I have no doubt she would do the same here in Raw now. And so I don't think Asuka, there just isn't much for Asuka left to do as champ because she's beaten everyone on Raw, and and if she beats her, what else are they gonna do? I mean, unless what's her name, whatever. But yes, Rhea Ripley will get the victory. Then we had the SmackDown Women's Championship with Sasha Banks defending her title against Bianca Belair. And once again, this could have been a main event, like many people are asking for. But this isn't worthy of main event anymore. I'm sorry, but it's just not. What could have been a rivalry about the boss, the blueprint, fizzled into nothingness. Because think about it, you have this woman, Sasha Banks, who claims to be the boss of SmackDown, and you have this woman, Bianca Belair, who claims to be the best, the strongest, the fastest, pretty much the best. How can you not make a rivalry out of that? It's just a battle of egos. But no, they want to put him in a tag team title feud, only for them to lose and have Sasha Banks call her a rookie. And it's just pitiful in my opinion. And I think it just reflects how the women division have been treated ever since Night of Champions, maybe? I don't know. Or actually since Hell in a Cell, since Bayley lost the title. Because where is Bayley? Bayley is not WrestleMania. So, I mean, unless there's something I don't know that isn't wrestling related to why she isn't there, she should be in WrestleMania. Now, maybe not for a title feud. I understand. That's fine. You don't have to be in a title feud always. But are you telling me there's no one she could have fought? Nobody? And that's just like frustrating because this woman literally carried the women's division for both Raw and SmackDown during the Performance Center. Even during and even once they moved to the Thunderdome. But no, she's nowhere in sight. And it's like, wow, okay. And it's just embarrassing and it's just disrespectful to the whole women's division. And it's just, I can only say frustrating. In my opinion, it's just frustrating seeing how this is what the women's side has devolved into. And I know people want to say, well, it's because they don't have Ronda Rousey or they don't have Becky Lynch anymore. Well, then why not make her own stars? I understand Charlotte Flair's not there either, but that's why you take the time to develop younger women stars. So when it's time for them to be called up, or better said, when it's time for them to step up, it doesn't seem weird. If you recall that match between Asuka and Peyton Royce cut a promo, and then all of a sudden, bam, she's fighting Asuka. Why not just have her slowly develop? So then, like I said, when there's a time for somebody to step up, they step up, and it's not weird. It's not awkward because it makes sense. But whatever. I believe Bianca Belair is gonna win because just like Rhea Ripley, she has this rocket attached to her. She won the Royal Rumble, and I believe she's going to win the SmackDown Women's Championship. Alrighty, next up we have the WWE Championship match between Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Now, I believe this match has been built up since a Backlash, back when Bobby Lashley was still United States champion. Or I don't think he was champion at that time. Actually, no, he wasn't. My apologies. But back when they had their first match at Backlash. Now you could say it was kind of on and off, but still, I believe this was worthwhile because I was happy to see him win the U.S. Championship, and I was elated to see him win the WWE Championship. And I don't think he's going to lose it because Bobby Lashley has worked way too hard to lose it. And, Drew McIntyre will put on a fight. I'm sure this match could go on for an hour, and I'll be entertained. Well, maybe not an hour, but 30 minutes for sure. And I'll be like, this is some good-ish. I kind of wish this match kind of had like a stipulation. Maybe like a false kind of anywhere match. I think this could really liven it up a bit. But, albeit, it's a singles match. So, I believe Bobby Lashley will win. Because he's been putting it on lately. And, we see how vicious he is. He literally cut off his two friends. Just because they aren't on ringside. And in my opinion, I think they would have cost him the match anyways. So he should be happy. He should be like, you know what, boys? I know y'all lost, but just get that champagne ready because we're going to celebrate after WrestleMania. Or whatever. But it is what it is. Bobby Lashley will retain decisively. And last but not least, I have my most anticipated match. Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. Now, at first I was kind of iffy on having Daniel Bryan. No, I wasn't iffy. I actually expected that to happen. I expected Daniel Bryan. Now, I didn't expect him. I did expect him to win the title, but he didn't. But I still expected some sort of triple threat. Because Daniel Bryan wasn't going to give up that easily. Especially how things turned out with him making Roman Reigns tap out. Or as he say, Morse code. Sure. But I have to give the victory to Edge because he's been working his tail off, man. He literally came back a year ago, got injured, sidelined for a bit, came back, won the Royal Rumble from the number one spot. And do you think he's really going to give up that easily? Like, do you think, oh man, this is too hard? No, Edge is going to do everything he can. Now, this is a triple threat, so I believe I believe it's instantly a no holds barred match. It's also a no count out too. So this match is going to be great, in my opinion. And honestly, it's going to give it's going to be a good feeling match too, because it's Edge, man. He hasn't really wrestled at WrestleMania. He did one last year, but for a title, it wasn't since 11 years, maybe 10 years. So yes, I really do hope Edge wins because part of me, I just love Edge, man. I grew up with him. I hated him when I was growing up, but it's because he was just a great heel. But now that I see him and I've seen how much work he's put into, man, he is more than deserving for the title. He's earned the right to call himself champion. And I know I didn't mention Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns is going to do Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? He's going to be there. He's going to show up. He's not going to win, in my opinion, but he's going to cause some damage. So those were my predictions for WrestleMania. However, I know there are some matches that are being taken before place, such as the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I'll quickly go over that. I think Rey Mysterio and Dominic will win. I think I'll give him a little no, it's gonna be another feel good moment, and even though it's not on WrestleMania, it's still one of those moments that will stir a lot of um, internet talk for sure. The other thing would be the men's Andre Memorial match. Unfortunately, this match will not really do anything for anybody, but I would want Ricochet to win. Just something, man. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this gives him a boost of energy. I mean, I did see him fight Drew McIntyre last Monday, and I was like, oh wow, maybe this could be something great. I don't know. And in case there's an Andre Memorial for the women's, just Bailey. I mean, sure they gave her a little talk show, but she hasn't really been on TV lately. And it's like, wow, okay, it's just sad. It's just sad. Like I said, it's sad. And lastly, I'm assuming they're gonna have the women's tag team titles somewhere. So, um, I would say maybe Lana and Naomi will win, just because they've really been the only one I care for. I don't really care for the Golden Girls, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. I don't care for Natalia and Tamina. I definitely don't care for Nia Jax and for um, Shayna Baszler, and I certainly do not care for the Riot Squad. It's more like the Laughing Squad. Like, all they do is just lose. It's like, I don't even take them seriously, but whatever. Let me not go there. And before I send you guys home, I do want to talk about a little bit of the Broken Skull sessions this Sunday coming up, between AEW star Chris Jericho and Stone Cold. I mean, what a moment, really, seeing WWE collaborate openly with someone who is not part of WWE or a free agent. I think that's great, because for one, whether you like the man or not, Chris Jericho has done wonders for wrestling. I mean, he's an icon, you could say. I mean, and not even say, I mean, he is an icon of wrestling. So I'm interested to see what will happen. And I'm interested to see what will happen in the future. Will WWE be more open to collaborating with other people? Maybe not necessarily in the ring, but clearly it shows that, they're open to having talks. And that's great for everybody, because with more collaboration, we can see more things unwind, I think. So everyone, those were my predictions for WrestleMania 37 this weekend on April 10th through the 11th. What are you guys' thoughts? What do you guys think? Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose? Hopefully, no more matches are added. I think this is a pretty heavy match card itself, albeit a somewhat lukewarm WrestleMania. But hey, it's a WrestleMania. We're gonna have a crowd. Hopefully, that really lives up the feeling of it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. I hope you guys have a great day. I am Samuel, the one man crew, and I've hoped I've kept you entertained all the way through. Adios.